Hi everybody, welcome to my Play-Doh workshop. If you don't know me, my name's Andrea and I do the preschool programs at the Resource Center. So what's the scoop on Play-Doh? How do you make it? And why is it so important for kids to play with Play-Doh? Why do kids like it so much? Or why do some kids not want to touch it? And how do I make the experience better for my kids and for myself? And question of the day, how do I get my kids to stop eating it? So, okay, first of all, how do I make it? So this is my go-to recipe for cooked Play-Doh. And there are all kinds of recipes out there for Play-Doh. And I've tried some of them, but I always come back to the cooked Play-Doh because it lasts the longest. It's so nice and soft, and it just stays well. If it's stored correctly, it just stays good for so long. So we start off with a cup of flour and put it in a pot on the stove. Cup of flour, a half cup of salt, and very important, cream of tartar. 2 tablespoons cream of tartar. Now the cream of tartar, this is so important because, oops, too much. What the cream of tartar does is it gives the Play-Doh that softness and elasticity. So don't leave this out. Now this little box is not cheap. It was $7.99 at Sobeys, but you only need 2 tablespoons. And so you can get about 3 or 4 recipes of Play-Doh out of this box, and you can get a smaller box at Superstore for $5. And considering that this Play-Doh, this cooked Play-Doh, can last you a good 6 months or more if you keep it in a sealed bag or a sealed container, that's a pretty good deal. Okay, so, and I'm gonna do a cup of water and a tablespoon of oil, and I usually add the oil to the water. So I add that to my water and then some food coloring. I'm also going to add the food coloring to the water. I'm going to turn my heat on to medium and add that to the pot with my flour and salt and cream of tartar. Okay, so now I've got my heat on medium and I'm going to stir continuously. And you want to stir until it gets too hard to stir. So while this is cooking, I'm going to talk a bit. All right, so Play-Doh is a great developmental tool. Play-Doh is great for fine motor skills. So as a child works with Play-Doh, they're working on their hand strength and their dexterity. So these are skills that are needed for handwriting, for a good pencil grip. So children's hands are not very strong. They just have small hands and small muscles. And so they really need to do activities before they start holding pencils and writing that will work on that strength. They're also great for cognitive development. Play-Doh is also great for cognitive development, good for experimenting, exploration, problem solving, independent creative thinking. So for example, a child wants to make an animal. So they have to figure out how they're going to do that. How are they going to make an animal's head, its body, its legs, its tail? So they have to figure that out. They're going to have to experiment. How are they going to make these things out of Play-Doh? So as I'm stirring this Play-Doh, I'm starting to get lumps. That's good. That's what you want to form. But you also want to make sure it's not going to start burning on the bottom, so you have to stir continuously. Okay, Play-Doh is also great for sensory development. So playing with Play-Doh is a sensory experience. It's a different texture than most things in a child's world. That's why some children just love playing with Play-Doh, and some children, for some children, it creates some anxiety. So for those children that creates anxiety, they're sensory sensitive children, and those are children that we really want them to have different sensory experiences so that they can overcome some of their fear of those sensory issues, and for them to gain some confidence. And for the majority of children, playing with Play-Doh gives them great satisfaction. So the sensory experience of playing with something that's tactile, like this, is a sensory outlet for them, and it also creates confidence. So you can see it's becoming very hard to stir. So pretty soon I'm going to take it off the heat. Okay, I'm going to take it off the heat now. So just going to pause this. Okay, once you've got, once the Play-Doh has cooled off a little bit, you can knead it on the counter a little bit, just to get it nice and smooth in a ball. You might need to add, if it's a bit too sticky, you can add a little bit of flour, put a little bit of flour on the counter as you knead it. But this Play-Doh is just lovely and soft. And if you want to give your children a little bit of extra tactile involvement, you can let them play with it while it's still warm. It's very nice. Okay. So I've had a couple of comments from moms saying that they don't let their children play with Play-Doh for two reasons. One is that it's too messy, and the other is that their children eat it. So, well, can you blame a child for taking a nibble? It looks like candy. Okay, so I would say, like, go ahead, let them lick it, let them take a nibble. I mean, there's nothing in here that's going to hurt them. As you can see, it's all non-toxic ingredients, and even store-bought Play-Doh is non-toxic these days, so it's not going to hurt them. And they'll soon find out that it doesn't taste very good. And if you give them enough little toys and things to do with Play-Doh, they're not going to want to eat it. They're going to find other things to do with the Play-Doh. It's not going to be interested in eating it. So don't worry about them taking a taste from it. They're not going to be interested in eating a whole thing of Play-Doh, and it's not going to hurt them. Okay, and as far as it being messy, I can understand if the Play-Doh is old and crumbly, that it could be, it would tend to get everywhere. But this Play-Doh is very nice and soft, and it's not going to create a mess necessarily. And if you teach your children to take care of their Play-Doh, that's also helps a lot. So when they're done playing with Play-Doh, teach them to put it all back in one big blob like this, and to put it away in the container with the lid on, or with the bag closed all the way, and so that it doesn't dry out very quickly. That will help a lot. If it gets in the carpet, just get it dry out, and then you can use a bristle brush to clean it out. And all the ingredients are water soluble, so you can also just wash it out with some soap and hot water. So it's not hard to clean, and messy play is good for children. So don't let the messiness stop you from letting your children have messy play, please. It's so good for them. Okay, also make your children play with it at the table or the kitchen counter. And if they don't go by that rule, then take it away, put it away for 5 minutes, and then bring it out again, see if they can follow the rules. Don't take it away from, don't play with it if you're not going to stay at the table with it. Okay, so how do I enhance the Play-Doh experience? Well, it's not true that children will inherently know what to do with Play-Doh. If you give a big lump of Play-Doh to a small child, they may not know what to do with it. So I would start with a child who has never had Play-Doh before. I would start with a small piece because a child has small hands, small muscles. They may not be able to do much with a big lump of Play-Doh. They won't be able to flatten it. They don't have that strength to flatten it, or even they won't know to pull a piece off to have a small piece. So you need to sometimes model it to them first, what to do. Um, yeah, and if you don't have Play-Doh toys, there's lots of things around the house that you can use. So you can use like a popsicle stick to cut the Play-Doh. You can use little toys to do footprints in the Play-Doh. You can have little trucks, and they can drive through the Play-Doh and make fun tracks. You can use toy dishes and knives. You can use cookie cutters and make cookies. There's fun. You can use things around the kitchen to make fun little imprints in the Play-Doh. Let's see, I've also got a whisk, or a fork. You can make all kinds of fun things in the Play-Doh. Okay, there's also great Play-Doh toys out there. I've got a bunch of Play-Doh rolling pins, and this little guy that I got, they're part of a Melissa and Doug kit. And what's also fun is to have Play-Doh scissors. So cutting is a good skill for children to learn, and often Play-Doh is a good place to start with cutting. So show them how to make a log by rolling it in their hands or rolling it on the table, and then they can start snipping with scissors. And they can even use the regular child scissors. They don't need Play-Doh scissors to do this. So they can start cutting with Play-Doh, because that's even easier to cut than paper. All right. And also, one last thing is, if you're on Pinterest, you can get these. These are like Play-Doh mats that you can get, and you can laminate them or put them in a page protector, and they can have lots of fun with this kind of thing with Play-Doh. And that's all I have for our Play-Doh workshop today. So I hope that you can have some Play-Doh fun at home with your children. See you next time. Bye.